Hi, and welcome to Time for Healing. I'm your host, Marion Porter. My God, do we have a show today? None other than Kim Tallcouch, the animal communicator, is here to talk to us all about animal communication. Yo, here you are, finally.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yay. So, wow, we got a lot to dive into. So let's just start.
Sure.
Animal communication, what is it?
Well, animal communication is an intuitive process. We all have the ability to communicate with our animals. Now, we do that through verbal commands with them, and they will communicate back with us by barking or letting us know if they are hungry or they need to go outdoors or whatever. However, there's much more to the communication than those obvious things. And animal communication, intuitive animal communication, is where you basically are able to know what your pet is basically thinking. And it's communicating with them on an intuitive level or telepathic level, which is basically sharing thoughts, feelings, and idea patterns in a more of a telepathic way and an intuitive way. And it's the sharing of these thoughts and images from one being to another so that we can get our message across. And we do that with them all the time. They are far more adept at understanding our subliminal thoughts and feelings than we are of interpreting theirs. And what I do is I help people to interpret their pets' thoughts and feelings and how they perceive their world from their perspective, so that that information can shed some light onto how they're experiencing their world and what we can do to enhance it or make it better.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you can do this for animals that are living and animals that have passed on as well?
Yes, for both.
Wow.
When you consider that thoughts and feelings are energetic patterns, really it's just an energetic exchange. And those thoughts and feelings and patterns don't leave our pet when they're deceased, because they have spirit and they still are able to communicate as our human counterparts are able to communicate with us once they've transitioned.
Now, so say you have a dog and a dog transitions. Are they still a dog, or do they get to choose to be something else?
They choose to be something else. What I have not seen in my work so far is an animal that has gone from human being to animal. They stay within the animal realm, and that has to do with the vibrational level that we operate at and the vibrational level that most animals operate at. So they operate at a much higher level than we do. So to become a human...
A higher level?
A higher level. So
wait a minute, what?
So in order,
come on.
So one of the practices that I do to enhance my ability to communicate with an animal is I do a little exercise where I consciously raise my vibrational level for the session so that I can meet the level that the animal exists at.
Wow. Okay. I'm jumping right ahead. I see you've got some shaman books here.
I do.
So, do you have anything to do with perhaps a person's totem animal? Like if I knew what my totem animal was?
In the shamanic work that I do, I will help people identify and develop a relationship with their totem animal or their spirit guide, their animal guide, whether it's somebody who's with that individual for their lifetime, which we do have, an animal spirit that is assigned to us throughout our life. Whether we use them or call on them is another matter. And then we have animals that appear in our lives very briefly as messengers. A lot of wild animals do that, which is why I brought the books, because they talk more about the wild animal realm. And our domestic pets have a wide range of roles that they play in our lives. Sometimes they can simply be a companion. Other times they are in fact a guide or a messenger or a teacher for us in this life path. And they try their best to make sure that we follow that lesson and recognize it.
Wow. Okay. So now all the questions that I had, I'm throwing out. Because, all right, can you identify a spirit animal for me, or do you want me to tell you what I feel my spirit animal is.
So when you're saying your spirit animal, would this be one that you've had a lifetime with you, or one that you feel has been with you the last 2 or 3 years? Because they can step forward or step back when we need them, when we need the medicine that animal provides.
Right, because of course I have this
Sure.
this bottom book, being a shaman myself, so I'm really attuned to the animals. I've always been interested my whole entire life with turtles. Recently, I guess within the past 10 years, heron has come to me.
That's mine. That helps me with this work. The turtle has strong mythology with the Native Americans, and they believe that Mother Earth they call Turtle Island. So there's creationism with turtles. There's the two worlds that they live in. So they're amphibians, so they command the water and they command the land. And the water is our seat of our intuition, and of course the land is Pachamama, our Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So that's a very powerful animal totem to have, and one that is just steeped with lore. There really is a lot of lore behind that. Some people might find that not a powerful animal because, it's just a turtle. It's not the lion. It's not the hawk or the wolf. But
they're like the armored
powerful
division of any
Absolutely.
water area.
And they protect themselves.
Yeah.
And if we had the ability to do that, protect ourselves, retreat within our own home. I mean, they carry their home on their back to some extent too. So they are very, very powerful animals.
Right. And the beaver is my other animal. But do you see a different animal from
I was getting hawk around you right now.
Well, I had, in a past lifetime, I went by the name Singing Hawk.
There you go.
So I do see hawks quite a bit.
Yeah, there's also the higher perspective.
Yeah.
Being able to see things from the perspective of hawk, eagle, any of the soaring birds, even the condor. They are all, they also are the animals that are closest to the creator.
Right.
So so right now I'm getting hawk
Far
around
out.
you.
So I want to jump into the part where we talk about my sainted Tony.
Sure.
I see you got his picture.
I
there.
have Tony's picture here. I do like to work with a photo.
Can I tell you his full name?
Sure.
So I called him Tony, but his full name that I gave him was Antonio Giuseppe Spumoni.
Okay, Tony for sure.
Yeah.
Tony Spumoni.
Yeah.
Now,
Very Sicilian he was.
how long ago did Tony pass?
He passed in July of 2012.
So he's been gone a little while now.
Yeah.
And he was 18 years old, you
18
said?
years and 3 months.
And how long did you have him?
18 years
So
and 3 months.
he never had another home?
No.
Okay. And I ask that because their history can sometimes, especially if they've been in a rescue situation or have had some hardship, it can shed some light onto what behavior issues may be happening now, or really where their mindset is, because it's their, it's the way that they approach life. Did you have any other pets with Tony, or was he an only pet?
Well, here's the thing. I had a Pomeranian, and his name was Vinny. Vincenzo Antonio Spumoni. He had his name before, obviously Tony, but I liked the name Antonio. And he was adorable, and he would bark. I had him in an apartment that didn't allow pets, and he barked. And so it was suggested that a friend be gotten for him. So I took him round to interview dogs. And, because it was his friend.
Absolutely.
So I had to make sure that he knew.
That was important compatibility.
Right. And he met Tony, and that was it. And so, and then what had happened, they were together their whole life. A sister joined them towards the end. But then I went through a terrible breakup, and I could only take one dog.
Oh, that's hard.
So I through prayer, got Vinny to go back to his breeder.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was able to find her. She cried the day we took her. So I knew I had done right by him. And then God was like, okay, this is what you'll do. And then it'll be okay for you to take Tony. And so I had Tony, and he was with me through many life transitions.
Yeah. Vinny had accomplished his goal in life, and that was to bring you together. That was his role in your life, was to bring you and Tony together.
Because it was totally his choice. It was his choice.
It was a part of the plan.
Really?
And the bigger plan. So if you ever felt that you let him down by bringing it back to the breeder, he had
Oh, no, I know I did right, because I
Yeah.
had prayed on it, and God had said.
Yes, yeah, he fulfilled why he came to you. That was his role with you. He'll have other roles with other people that he's with, but that was his purpose. So he had fulfilled that. So that was what he needed to do for you and for Tony as well.
So what was the thing between me and Tony? 'Cause I miss him so.
Tony,
I mean, is he not adorable?
he's adorable. He's very, very cute.
He knows it, too.
And not just in his physical way, his personality also. He was quite a little character.
Oh, he was very much like Brian on Family Guy.
Yeah, very. He's actually. He's saying, I'm a little softer than Brian. I was a little softer than Brian.
Yes. But he was a frat boy.
But I get the point of, by summarizing his Brian on Family Guy, that gives me an idea. But he's like, no, I was much deeper than Brian on Family Guy. Because he too, you mentioned having these shifts and going through transitions, life transitions.
Yeah.
And that was part of what his calling was with you. He needed to usher you in.
Oh, he was soaked in my tears so many times.
Yeah, but it wasn't just ushering in. There was a protective quality.
Yeah.
He would hold space for you while you were going through those changes. And so he wore many hats in that respect. So not only did he hold the space for you so that you didn't have to worry about anything other than what your focus was, whatever shift you were going through. But he would hold space for you, and then he would be your companion, and then he would be your, the affection. I mean, he was everything rolled up into one little man.
I could not wait to get home. I would say it every day. I just can't wait to get home and grab up my dog.
Yeah. And we have we have many, many pets throughout our lifetime, and we may love them all, but I know for me personally, of the dozens of pets that I've had, I can count maybe on 3 fingers those pets that were part of my soul group, and that were not just there to be part of my life at the time, but the much deeper relationships, much more meaningful life path kind of stuff, and soul group members, and that's where he is with you. He was with you. He still is. He will always be. A lot of times, it's not uncommon to see that our pets have been with us before. One of the positives of pets having such a short lifespan, are particularly dogs and cats, not so much horses, but dogs and cats, is that they are able in their 10 to 15 year lifespan, 18, they can come around in several times in some way and have our paths cross in our lifetime. So you can have a pet as a child, a young child, and you have that relationship, and then later on you're in your 20s and you get your first pet, and it can be that individual coming back around in a new carnation to be with you at a later date. So if you've ever had a sense where you've brought a pet into your home and you're like, I know this pet, this guy reminds me of so-and-so, it could very well be that they have been with you before. He has been with you before. He has been with you not only in this, it's not limited, I should say, to this lifetime, but to lifetimes before.
He's been with me in other lifetimes.
Absolutely.
I was so close to him. He just, would sleep in my arms. Every night we'd just sit and watch TV. And he was everything to me. I did not like to have him out of my arms or out of my lap
and he was very content there as well. That wasn't just on your end. That was he's showing me sitting in his spot, so like a designated area, waiting for you, just waiting, and not for food, and not for but just to be with you, just
he
for
knew
just
I
for
loved
the comfort of him. Absolutely. That wasn't even a question, because of the level of the relationship that you had, the soul level of the relationship that you had. So he came here with work. He very much had this job that he was set out to do for you. But it wasn't all business for him. He was able to, and I also feel that what he's telling me right now is that there was, the last time you were with him in a prior life, it was interrupted, and he was not the individual that he was in this life. So he was catching up and giving you what he could not give you in the last life.
What was he? Was he still an animal in the last
Yes, yes. He was
How
an
was
animal.
it interrupted? He wasn't killed, was he?
I'm actually feeling him with like a horse energy, and I feel that this was a while back, so this wouldn't have been your most recent past life, because I'm feeling that
I've had a lot of them, honey.
I'm sure we all have. Happens to everybody, but I'm feeling that it was more of a work relationship. So I'm thinking that it was a rider, even a form of transportation.
Oh, wow.
So you didn't have that affectionate, it was a utilitarian relationship, and it served its purpose, but the affection wasn't there.
It was a whole,
So
it
this
was
is-
nothing but affection.
So that was missing the last time around, and it was important that he balanced that out in your relationship, your karmic tie with him, to have that. And it also was what you needed. He served you well in that last life. That was what you needed from him. You didn't need what you had this time around with him. So he needed to have that element of that more emotional and affectionate aspect, because it also served where you were at and what you were going through at the time that you had him in your life,
Now,
in a supportive way.
Now, when it came time for me to, make the decision to have him pass gently, if you will, at the vet's, I always felt that I waited 1 week too late, and I failed him in that respect. Did I?
No. He's actually taking some responsibility for why you felt that you needed to have him around another week. Almost like he might have sent you mixed messages. Did you feel that he was rallying?
Yes. I wasn't sure because
Yes.
I was reading his energy. I was depending on him telling me when it was time to go.
And that's what he was giving you. And that was because you needed that. It wasn't anything to do with him. Although he understood that and he agreed to that. That was not, but he knew that whatever you needed, that 10-day period or whatever amount of time that you felt moved it to the too waiting too long stage, that was exactly what you needed to see. They have an ability to, when their pain level or their discomfort or their disability, their illness is getting to where it is a little overwhelming for them, they are very adept at being able to leave their bodies.
I had thought he had done that.
Yes, that's how he was coping for that during that time frame, that he would get that temporary relief from the physical world from simply pulling just ever so much out of his body.
I could tell that. So when the time came, of course, I cuddled him the whole time. Was he okay with the way that happened?
Very smooth transition. Did you do ceremony for him?
I didn't know about ceremony then, but I was sure, not
in a formal way, but you did something for honoring him.
Yes.
in your own way, which is
because back then I didn't have all of that knowledge yet.
Sure.
But I was developing it,
but he's so there's never there's never a feeling in cases like this. You're not the only one we've all waited too long, because it's such a final act that you really need to make sure, and we don't have an individual who's able to say, all right, I need to check out. So, we're guessing, and we're going to err on the side of longevity, but he's like, none of that matters. None of that matters.
I did right by him.
Absolutely, none of that matters.
He didn't mind being brought into a house with Solomon the poodle? They seem to have got on okay.
Yeah, no, he's funny, because he's kind of looking down at them, like in a way where they weren't a threat. Like they weren't me. You know, they couldn't give you what he was giving you.
No,
so
Solomon was cute.
He was solid in his. He was he was comfortable in his own place. He knew he was. This was not a dog that didn't have a good sense of self-esteem, because he's a highly evolved being.
Tony's highly evolved?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell me about Tony being a highly evolved being.
So we hear that when we think of our spirit guides that were human form at one point, they start out at some point in their path as being people and living people lives. They elevate themselves through their life actions and whatever it is that they need to do. They will elevate themselves up to a higher level to where they can eventually choose not to come back to the physical world, because it's a difficult world, and to stay in the spirit world, but only to elevate to that of a guide. Animals do the same thing.
Really?
And they are guides not only for themselves, other animals, but for us as well. And what ended up happening was that he, by the work he did with you, it kind of like Wonderful Life, he earned his wings.
What work did he do with me?
Well, he was very instrumental in, again, holding space and backing you and nudging you in directions that you needed to be in as you were on different paths or making decisions and transitioning or opening up another world of understanding, because that world was one that he was comfortable with. So it was all behind the scenes, or maybe you were aware that he was doing more.
I didn't know. I thought he was just my love bug.
And that's fine. We don't need to know why sometimes they're with us. Sometimes we don't even figure it out until they're not with us any longer. So that's fine that you weren't aware of it, but he was working behind those scenes, and he was being just what he needed to be, what you needed him to be when you needed him to be it. He also was able to, very sensitive energetically, so there was a great deal of protecting you while you were on this path. Protecting you energetically, protecting you emotionally, physically. They're always protectors, dogs physically. They'll bark and, head up a warning. But so a lot of what his work that he was doing was kind of behind the scenes, or laying the foundation for you to step on. Very important work, very thankless, because it wasn't recognized, but it got him exactly where he needed to be, and it elevated him.
Where is he now?
He is within the spirit world. He is still very connected to you. He will always be very connected to you. He will not be coming back, because when any animal has elevated to this level, then they don't incarnate. They may come, not in a full life. They may come and visit, or they may ask another animal if they can use them for a period of time, and that could be a domestic animal or a wild animal, in order to get to you in this world.
Does he like that I'm a shaman?
Absolutely. That was what this was all about.
What?
That was what he was all about. It was making that. And when I talk about the protective quality and holding the space, there's there's a big shift that goes on when you embrace the shamanic world. It's a commitment. And it's, it's not only a way of life, it's a way of looking at the world. And he helped you do that. Whether you were aware of it or not, that's where he was. And
can I call upon him in my
absolutely.
work?
I would. As a matter of fact, what I was just going to say was, he was calling to you. He was calling for you who you needed in the other world. So he knew who to bring to you to guide you.
To guide me where?
And wherever you are at that time.
Oh, okay.
So in whatever endeavor you were doing, and that could have been something on a much larger scale, if you were completing a rite, an energetic rite or something, then he would have brought in who you needed to have with you at that time in the spirit realm. He just made sure that all your ducks were lined up so that you could fulfill your your destiny.
Is he still looking out for me now?
Always, yes.
Oh, so how
There's
can
an
I-
energetic cord between you two.
It'll never go?
Never go.
So does he feel bad that I haven't really reached out to him?
No. He
I
knows where
didn't-
you're at.
So what now can I do to keep whatever guidance I can get from him? I can
Call on him.
call upon him?
Call upon him and let him know that this is what you're dealing with. You know, lay out what it is you would like him to help you with. Like any guide, we have to give them, you know, we don't like put out blanket, you know, I need your assistance with this, or can you show me what needs to be seen?
What does he want to help me with? What's up for him to help me with? What does he?
I'm seeing a crossroad. Are you at a point right now where you're wondering whether you should go in one direction or another?
Yeah, I am actually.
So what he wants to do, he's never going to tell you. No guide will ever tell you what to do. We know that. He's gathering the tools to show you that you need to see, and I tools is like a very broad term, because it could be something energetic, that you need so that you can make the right decision.
Cool.
So he's going to just bring to you a little more referencing stuff so that you will be able to know which fork you need to take in that path.
Neat.
He says you already know.
Does he like it that I refer to him as my sainted Tony?
Oh, yeah.
Because he is sainted, isn't he? I'm not too far off, huh?
Well, yes. I mean, yes. And I know what you mean by being sainted. And he's laughing. He had a very interesting sense of humor. Would he hide things? Or like take things? Like I'm thinking like a trickster kind of a playful thing, you know, in a playful way.
He loved mice. He thought mice were his people, his babies. He used to watch
Real mice.
Yeah. He used to like to see, you know, the mice will come in the wintertime when you live like...
Yeah, well, you know, and he's also saying there's a lot to be learned from mice.
He used to love to watch them.
Yeah.
He used to let them, he used to protect them when they would take the food out of his dog dish.
That's funny.
He would just sit there and make sure that they were safe. He was like the greatest.
He was an elevated being. He didn't need to be the dog then, you know, I mean.
He never really was a dog. Did he like the way I kept him shaved in the summer and longer in the winter? Did he like the way I groomed
he was
him?
really well, like a roll with it kind of a guy. He was not attached to and that part of himself. So he's interesting because he was very self-aware.
We're down to 40 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Yes, he's... there wasn't anything you did that he didn't like.
I loved him.
He peas in a pod.
Yes.
Peas in a pod.
That's how we were.
Yeah, he's like, I would follow her anywhere.
Oh, and I would follow him anywhere. My God, Kim Tallcouch. We got to stop this show now. Any last word? Any last word from Tony? I love you, Tony.
Well, of course, hearts. He's just saying to keep your perspective. Keep the perspective.
Far out. You heard it right here. This goes out to you, Tony. I love you. Thank you, Kim Tallcouch.
You are welcome,
for
Marion.
Talking to us about animal communication, and we'll see you next time on Time for Healing.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.